I'm back, guys. It's been a while that we've recorded a podcast or anything because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Um, but I also feel like now is the perfect time because because we're hearing a lot more positive news about sports leagues coming back. So, I'm going to talk about what um, I've been up to leading up to this. I'm going to do this Monday through Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That is 12 p.m. Eastern time. So tomorrow at 9, hopefully at 9, I will come on and I will be on until 12 p.m. Pacific time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern time. So tonight, I just wanted to do a show for you guys tonight because I haven't been on for a while. Haven't recorded any podcast for a very long time, and obviously, right now, I am doing this remotely from my home because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I live in California, and we're under a stay at home order as of right now. So, as a lot of other places are as well. So, I would like to first start off with what has been going on for me since the pandemic started. So, the last Laker game I worked was the Lakers Bucks game, which was I think it was like March 13th, 6th or 3rd, something like that. I think it was the 13th. And so um, so I worked that, and then I was given tickets for the Jazz when the Lakers were going to play the Jazz, which was on the 18th of March. Unfortunately, the day I was going to go to the station to pick up my tickets and credentials, the day I was going to go and pick it up, unfortunately, that is when everything started hitting the fan in regards to the coronavirus in sports. So I had gotten an Uber from Century City to my house so I could go home and change and go down to the station to pick up my stuff, for my tickets and credentials for the game on March 18th. But that unfortunately did not happen because as I was getting dressed ready to go, I had turned on ESPN and they were talking about what Rudy Gobert had done because the game was on I think it was the Jazz and the Nuggets. I think that was going the Jazz. No, it was Dallas and the Nuggets or something like that. I don't remember. And that was going on, and I turned it on in the background as I was putting my clothes on. I was going to get ready to go. And then I see over on the bottom line, it says, scrolling, breaking news, NBA suspends season indefinitely. And I'm thinking, oh, shit. This isn't good at all. You know, I just wasted a lot of time on this, and I really wanted to go to the game and blah, blah, blah. And I shouldn't have asked for tickets, knowing what was going on. But I didn't know as much was going on then as it is. I didn't know what was going on as to that extent then. We weren't sure as a country what was going on. So I decided I wasn't going to pick them up, because why would I pick up tickets up for a game I can't go to? That just didn't make sense. So I decided to stay here and keep an eye out on, and keep my eyes out, my ears open for what was going on. So there are some encouraging signs in regards to sports in California today. Gavin Newsom says that if everything goes well, we can expect to see sports starting on June 1st, with no fans, obviously. And we'll get into that later. What I think the impact of that will be. We'll get into that later. I think that these leagues could completely miss the boat. I think that you could technically do sports right now. You could have done sports from mid-March to now. You could have. All this time, you could have done sports. It is just that they didn't know enough. They didn't know what all this entailed. They had no idea. So to me, it is incredibly obvious that they could have done sports with no fans this entire time. Because I feel like that's what our nation needs right now. We need sports. We need all these things to provide some normalcy into our lives. Not just the people who live it, but the people who watch it. So to me, I feel like they're late to the party on this. They could have done sports. We could have seen sports coming back. It could have happened a long time ago. But I feel like with all the stay-at-home orders and everything, it kind of derailed the start of sports in our state, let alone the country. And I think that now we're starting to see there's a little bit of a light at the end of this tunnel. The problem is that we don't know how long the light will last. So in my opinion, they should start doing whatever they can to start leagues to start playing now. Now, yesterday, NASCAR started yesterday, and I thought it was a blueprint as to what we could see in other sports in this country and in the world. Now, granted, NASCAR was easy to start back because they wore masks, they wore helmets, and whatever, and when in their cars, right? So social distancing these guys wasn't that hard to do. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Okay, we're not gonna see NBA players walking during a game with a mask on, or a coach, or assistants, or media member. No, we're not going to see it. That's ridiculous. That is not how it's going to be. So I think that we know now that it's possible. Okay, things are becoming to look more possible than they were before. And I think that what we're noticing is that some of this might have worked. Now, here in LA, we still have the stay-at-home order in LA County and the face mask thing, which is, I think, a bunch of bullshit. We'll talk about that later. I really feel like this whole thing is going to. I really felt like in LA, we were going to be the last city to have professional sports just because how the governor and the counties and all that are reacting to things. I just felt like it was just not going to happen right away. Like we were going to be the last city to really go all in on sports coming back. I just thought that was going to happen. I really did. And now I really feel like it'll happen faster, but I feel like the county and the city are going to have to do things to make these things more of a reality. And the one thing that I think they have to consider is not making mask wearing a priority. Because if you're playing a 48-minute NBA game, you're not going to be walking around with a mask on. That's ridiculous. Running around on the court with a mask on. That's stupid. That's painful and it's stupid. No one does. No, that would not happen. That would not work. And everybody pretty much knows that. And I really feel like that's something that is obvious what's happening right now. And a lot of people will say to me, well, why are you so against it? Mask wearing. I am against it because it doesn't make me feel very good. And I would like to know what other people think because it really doesn't make me feel very good. And so I would really like to know out there if anybody feels the same way about masks as I do. And I am a Disneyland passport holder, and I feel very strongly that if Disneyland puts in the similar mask policy they put in Shanghai, Disneyland when it opened a week ago, I really feel like that is the end for me. That I will not renew my pass. I will not keep my pass until they waive that policy. I really, really, really feel that way because I don't think it's going to be comfortable, and I don't think anybody's going to have I don't think it's going to be fun. I don't think it's going to be worth it. It's not worth it walking around Disneyland if you can't see and you're panicking and you're panting and all that. It's not worth it. So I feel like that is something to watch out for. If any of you are Disneyland passport holders, it's something to watch out for if that mask thing is trending in our direction or not. And a lot of it boils down to where they're getting their suggestions from and who's helping them develop these policies as a whole and where all this is coming from. Because I feel like that is another thing that leagues are going to have to deal with is what's it going to look like? What is all this going to look like going forward? And how long do we expect fans to not be permitted in these arenas and stadiums? And what's it going to look like? And what are these leagues planning on doing for the health and well-being of the athletes, the coaches, and the media members who will be at these games? And to me, I've always looked at it in a different way. Okay? If you play professional sports, okay, you would want to play because that's what you know. So when LeBron was talking about a couple weeks before this, he was talking about how he doesn't want to play in an empty arena and blah blah blah. And I had said before, and I had said that after that, I had said, well, he's saying that because that's how he feels emotionally. He knew that was going to be taken out of context and all that. He knew that. So I feel like a lot of players probably feel that way, similar to him. I really feel that way. And so if that's the case, which I know I'm pretty sure it is, okay? If that's the case, then why were people so surprised of his answer? And I heard a couple people thought it was selfish of him, which I entirely disagree. I disagree with that. Because it's how you're wired. You're wired as a professional or just an athlete in general that you play for the crowd. You play for your fans. And so, excuse me, if you're not able to do that, then the competitive luster kind of runs off, right? But I don't think so. I feel like, are they going to have to look for it? Are they going to have to look for the energy? Yes. In ways they're not used to? Yes. But I really feel as if that he's not wrong. He's not wrong for saying what he said. And I think that a lot of people were just taken aback because they thought he was selfish. And I think that a lot of people were taken aback at the fact that just because LeBron said it. I honest to God do not believe that LeBron realized what people were going to take from that. I don't think he knew that. And I also think a lot of people just like taking what he says out of context anyway because he's LeBron James, and that's what people do to him, which is disappointing to me. So I understand why people took it the way they took it. Okay? I don't agree with it, but I can understand why people said this is a little selfish, blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with it, but I can kind of get it. But I want people to think of it this way. If you spent all of your life playing sports in front of a crowd, maybe not all of your life, but the majority of your life, maybe that's maybe that's hard for you because it's completely different because you're not going to have the crowd noise. Well, Fox claimed for their NFL coverage that they're going to pipe some crowd noise in. Wouldn't surprise me if everybody does that. Just wouldn't be surprised. Will it sound weird? Yes, but I feel like a lot of TV shows pipe in crowd noise, so I don't think people should be that concerned about it. And my thing is that people were so pessimistic about this whole thing, and I think that we are now starting to realize that there are ways to kind of get ahead of it. And we're there, yes, but I think sometimes what we learn through this is that sometimes we just don't. Sometimes we've been hearing a lot of "I don't know" recently, for the past few months at least, and I understand why they're doing that because it seems as though there was a moment in time where it didn't feel like the NBA was that was really considering going forward. It didn't really look like that for a while, right? And that there were some people out there saying that because China kept waffling on their promises, and the NBA was watching how China was responding. That had something to do with it. Who knows? But China, who is ahead of us, obviously in this, they had tried for three different times to come back and play. They had told their players to come back and all this stuff, and that hasn't happened yet. And so I feel like the NBA was really concerned about China and the fact that China didn't start. And will the NBA have a similar situation? The answer is no, because the NBA has more of a financial incentive to play these games more than China does, because of how the rights deals and all that are set up. A lot of money can be lost if you don't play. So that's what we're seeing in the MLB, is that the Players Association is the driving force in these negotiations as to, are you going to play? Are you not going to play? What are you going to test? Or are you not? Blah blah blah. And I think that the first sport the first golf is coming back on like the second or third week in June. Okay, and they're going to start in Fort Worth, Texas, the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial. They are not having fans on their golf course, at this tournament, which is obvious at this point. And they were the last sport to shut down. They didn't want to, because the week this all came down was the day before, the day this all really started to come down, with the day before the first round of the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. And they at first said, oh no, we're going to play, blah, 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 blah. We're just not going to have fans. And then a couple hours later, waffed on that and said, oh, we're canceling the tournament. It's going to be a wash. And to me, I understood why they didn't want to cancel it. I understood it completely, because it was their flagship event, and it was like, why would we do that? Why would we cancel something that people spent so much time, that people spent so much money, people have so much money invested in, and the players have spent so much time preparing for it. So why would we do that? Now look, they ended up having to stop because they were afraid that the international players wouldn't go back to their respective countries. Which you could understand, right? You could understand why that's a problem, right? Yeah. So to me, when golf comes back, what they should do, this is just me, I'm just throwing this out there, they should not allow players who are in the U.S. to fly to Europe, and not allow players who are in Europe currently fly to the U.S. Like, that's a thing that they could consider doing. At least until the Masters or something like that. That is something that they can definitely consider. I think that would be incredibly fair. And it would comply with social distancing, and it would be fair. The question is, are they going to do that? Now, here's the thing. The RNA canceled the Open Championship weeks ago. So there's no reason why these players would be traveling overseas. I just think they should ban overseas travel on the PGA Tour in general, outright. Just be like, we're not doing overseas travel. No one from over and lives in no player based in overseas in any other country other than North America can travel here. Like that's just it. And that is something that goes with what the Trump administration's travel ban. That goes pretty much lockstep with that. And the PGA Tour, as we know, has a very somewhat of a conservative stance when it comes to where they lean politically. And I believe that is one of the reasons why they were so gung-ho on finishing the player championship to a point was because they knew that some of their base, the more conservative, was not going to stand for that. And that is a feeling I have, and nothing is really going to allow me to waver from that. Is that they were hoping that nothing was going to change from that Thursday to that final round on that Sunday. They were very, very, very passionate on trying to keep everything the way it was and not change anything, which I am in favor of. The problem is that they were going to get so much blowback that it ended up not being worth it to a point because of all the blowback you get. I understand why they did this. Completely understand. The issue is more than anything is that people don't like the fact that they don't like the fact that a lot of things had to stop. I didn't either. But just a reminder, I forgot to record the beginning of this debate for the podcast, but I will leave it up on YouTube. If you want the full topic, you can find it on YouTube. You can watch the whole YouTube. You can watch the stream back for that. But I have started a recording of the podcast portion. And if you have missed any topics, you can either watch the YouTube portion or you can listen to the podcast version. So just wanted to let you guys know if that's what's been going on. So golf is planning on starting, and they did their tailor-made skins game in Florida yesterday at Seminole. And I watched part of it, and I was entertained by it. I have to say, I didn't know how entertained I was going to be, considering it wasn't what you normally see. It's not normally the type of product that they put out there. There was a lot of things that were different from your normal golf telecast, and I thought it was interesting. So first of all, tomorrow I will start I will do a show every morning once again from 9 a.m. Pacific to 12 p.m. Pacific time, which on the East Coast, that would be from noon till 3. So check out, so get ready for, so tomorrow, that's what we'll be going at. And that'll be the first, and then we'll be doing that from Sunday, from Monday to from Sunday through Monday, we'll be doing that 6 days a week from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we might have guests on, who knows, we're still working on that. So I would like to get into Disneyland. You heard me talk about that a little bit at the beginning of this, but I'd like to go into a little bit of what I'm thinking about in regards to the Disneyland Resort reopening plans. What the rumors are, and what the actual plan will likely be. There has been a lot of different opinions as to what Disney's planning on doing in regards to the parks and those things. So I am going to explain to people that I don't think that Disneyland is going to open until at least July. August, maybe, but I think the most optimistic time right now is August. Because Disney needs to sort out a lot of things within Orange and within the city of Anaheim and in the state in general. A lot of things have to go by the wayside before Disney can open. The number one, you have to be able to. They have to be able to lift the mask ordinance first, the face covering thing, which is huge here in LA County, and the statewide, it's huge. They have been banning people in the state and in some other places around the country as well for the past month or so, maybe a few weeks, maybe less than a month. If you don't have a face covering, then you have been banned from grocery stores, restaurants, and everything, from the public, essentially. And they've been fining people, and it's just been a fucking mess. And to me, that is the one obstacle I see in Disney's way here in California. Is, let's say, from 75 plus degrees, okay, which is obvious in the summer, okay, and you have people who are wearing face coverings and masks and whatever, right? If you think about it, that's a major issue, okay? The face covering thing is a huge issue when it comes to Disneyland Resort's reopening plan. It is a huge problem for them and a hurdle that they might have to wait for to clear out. Because I could see a lot of health issues arise that is not coronavirus related. If you're at Disneyland and you have a face covering on for the entire day, hell, you're gonna get hot. You're gonna get a hot flash, fever, and the whole thing. So I really think that Disney needs to really think about what they can do in their power to either comply with that in a more non-authoritative way, or just F it all together. I mean, it's going to be really difficult because they're at the counties and state levels, they're really pushing the face covering thing, which I'm not a complete believer that changes anything, but they have really been accelerating the tone of that as of recently. And I think that is going to be a major issue that Disney has to figure out what to do in regards to the face coverings, because to me, that is not how this stuff is going to go. It just doesn't seem possible. It just doesn't seem feasible for Disney to be doing, and I feel like they might have issues within the face coverings, with the face covering thing. I really do. Because to me, that's what's going to really make these things doable, is if Disney is actually able to somehow, in their power, to either completely scrap that altogether, which I don't think it's in their power to do that, or to figure out what is an alternative or a way that they can allow people in safely without having to resort to that. Now, Orlando, they had something interesting come up, which I think is very interesting. And I think that Disneyland should do that as well. Disney Springs had a soft opening today. What I mean by soft opening is that they not all the stores and restaurants were open, just random ones, and they had put up signs that basically a disclaimer as to what a risk Disney World Resort is into the fight of coronavirus. Essentially saying, don't sue us if you get coronavirus. And that you might be contributing to the cases doubling, blah, blah, blah. And I think that is something we could see Disneyland here in California do, is to make things, to put people on alert, but without that authoritative tone that we've heard from the mayors and the governors and some of the federal government in our country. I think that is a major thing. Because to me, you have to do that if you want any of these things to work. Now, this is it for the show tonight. Tomorrow will be longer. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of what this is going to be like. Thanks for hanging around.